What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Taste Like Music. Jason and Joe here doing an album review. This one's been out a little over a week now, but it is the new one from the Smashing Pumpkins, who we have covered on the channel before. We've did their full discography. This new one is called Aghori Mhori Mei, and there wasn't a lot of lead up to this. They announced it like 2 weeks before it dropped, and now it's here. So they did put out a huge hulking album last year called Autumn, and that was a triple album. This one's a little tighter, 44 minutes, 10 tracks. We both kind of liked Autumn though. I gave it a light 4 stars. You as well.
Same. Yep.
So how you feeling about this one?
Well, this was tough. Most people didn't like Autumn. Most people didn't seem to like Sear either, or however you say it, CYR. So this seems like a back to basics kind of approach from the Pumpkins. You don't get like those weird synthy tunes, and it feels more like a Smashing Pumpkins album. Heavy guitars, a couple alternative leaning ballads. And yeah, it seems like people are enjoying it in the Patreon. I think the critics like this one better. They really didn't like the last two much. Me, I'm a little mixed on this. I think it is a lot of riffage and a lot of stuff that we've heard before, and absolutely none of it stuck at all in my brain. Like this feels like the record they made because people wanted that style again. But I'm not getting it. Corgan's voice, I don't know if it works for this kind of music anymore. Like it doesn't have that venom. It doesn't have that softness on the ballads, that sneer on the harder stuff. The teenage angst and rebellion just doesn't quite fit. And like the music here is making me want to think of those days, but there's a disconnect, I think, between the songwriting and what they want it to be. A song like Pentagrams, it's got a cool gothic intro, and then it just goes in these big, scuzzy, heavy, multi-tracked guitar parts. And that's kind of it. Like it just kind of hammers over and over these riffs, and like there's no solos, like there's nothing inventive. There's none of like those winding passages. There's no like sprinkles and whipped cream on top of this sundae. It's just like the same vanilla. I think the guitar tones are good. The production's solid. I think Corgan sounds good still. Like he hasn't lost his voice. It's a little kind of higher somehow and whinier, but it's still pretty decent. He doesn't do the scream anymore, which is disappointing, but that happens. Jimmy Chamberlain's drums are fine. I don't think I noticed them much though, so that's kind of a negative. Never noticed the bass on any Smashing Pumpkins album ever. There's some piano. Pentecost has these. I think it's just synth strings. So they try to get a little more of that emotion, that moonlight in there. But I don't know. Again, like it just seems like they're throwing stuff on top of unremarkable, mostly uninteresting songs. And while it has the beats of like a classic Smashing Pumpkins record, like there's nothing out of the ordinary. Like there's no, I'm trying to think of a song that just kind of goes in a totally different direction, like a Space Boy or a Luna or a Soma or something like that, where it's like, this is different, this is new. It just seems like a lot of rehashes. I think my favorite song is probably War Dreams of Itself, has a nice marching beat, some nice minor leads to it. But songs like Who Goes There really feels like he's just trying to rehash the 90s. It's got an interesting synth part. It's got like kind of like that starry feel to it, but it's missing emotion. It's missing a sense of purpose. Go with the Fall wants to be 1979, but doesn't have any of that timelessness to it. And yeah, too much singing from Corgan. There's not enough like interesting instrumental passages. something to break up the riffage and the sort of, you know, rote Corgan singing. And yeah, it just kind of sounds like mush to me and uninteresting. And I think it's a bad change of direction from Autumn and Sear, which I thought were at least interesting new directions, trying something new. I like those a lot more. So I'm only going 3 stars for Aghori Mhori Mei.
Well, I have a lot of the same feelings, and I will say that I am at a light 3.5. But if you'll remember, I'm sure no one remembers, but if you go back to our pumpkins video, I only gave one 3 star through the whole thing. That's my lowest rated, and that is Shiny and Oh So Bright. I gave 3.5, 3. Everything else 3.5 and up. So I think the pumpkins very consistent, even in the reunion era where a lot of like the old school fans like don't like anything they're doing. I think they've still been really good. This one I would say is good, but I do have some of the same issues that you have. Nothing new. It feels like a retreat a little bit. It's like a reaction to their fans not being into some of the other things that they've tried, which I've really enjoyed, some of the synthier stuff. And I think Autumn, I mean, without a doubt, was way too long. It was too much, 3 albums. But with that, you got to see all the different sides of the band. You had some like synthy pop numbers, you had some really heavy stuff, um, ballads, all the different types of songs that they do. Here, this feels way more one-dimensional. And I guess you could argue that it's like more focused and concise and, spin it as a positive, but I don't think it really works that way. Well, like you said, yeah, there's all this riffage and it's really heavy and loud. And I think that is to appeal to people, but the problem is like they try to do some ballads and the ballads are still so loud and like there's no dynamics. The drums are slamming so loud. They're so compressed. And so you have to bring the levels of everything up to that. So the whole thing is just like sitting up here, even when it's trying to get quieter and be more emotional. It never feels that way. You never have like a tonight where things can open up and like be dramatic and emotional because everything's just like the meters are slammed the whole time. So it all feels like heavy, just chugging riffage, even when it's not meant to be. I don't think. And I agree. Jimmy Chamberlin's playing, if you listen to it, is good, but it never really feels. It almost feels like some kind of computer program or AI trying to emulate Jimmy Chamberlin because there's Jimmy Chamberlain isms in the playing, but the feeling is never quite there. It's a little robotic and almost fake sounding at times. The songwriting to me was good, but never really stand out. Like it's hard for me to even like pick a favorite track from this. They were all just like good, not great. And yeah, I don't know how much it's sticking with me. So, and it's not calling me back to it that much either. I think other things that they've done recently have been way more interesting. And I think the Smashing Pumpkins a little bit are a victim of their fandom. And their fans seem to not want them to evolve. They want Siamese Dream over and over again. And yeah, I think they are kind of stuck. Damned if they do, damned if they don't. They tried to, evolve and do some interesting stuff, and people didn't like it. And now they're stuck having to either just forge ahead with things their fans don't seem to want, or just like do this over and over again. So I would say not a bad listen. If you like the Pumpkins, you'll probably like it. But is it one of the best Pumpkins records? No. And it's probably my second least favorite.
Yeah, probably my second least favorite. I'm trying to think what. I guess I gave Adore 2.5 stars, but honestly, I'd rather listen to Adore than this. But I'm gonna stick with my 2.5 for Adore. Yeah, I just didn't find much interesting to hear on this one. Listened to it a couple times and just came away empty. So I'll take some more of those weird synth pop stuff that they were doing on Autumn over you know, another recreation of Siamese Dream or zeitgeist or whatever they're going here. Just not interesting and not memorable for me.
We're on the same page there. So, yeah, let us know if you agree or disagree. Drop it in the comments. Let us know what you think of this record. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.